Lie to Me, Episode 5, The Dog Attack. This story is based on a real patrol call in a Midwestern city of approximately 150,000 people. Names, locations, and identifying details have been changed to protect privacy. This is not a statement of guilt, only an examination of behavior, contradictions, and deception as observed during police patrol. I am a patrol police officer, and this is Lie to Me. The call came out as a dog attack. Those calls usually involve blood, panic, and clear victims. This one involved none of that, but everyone involved was lying. When I arrived on scene, another 2-officer crew had already made contact with both the reported victim and the dog owner. The call note stated that a dog had attacked a woman, chased her into her home, entered the home, and attacked both her and her dog. That description suggests a dangerous animal incident, possibly requiring citations, quarantine, or removal of the dog. When I arrived, however, everyone was upright, breathing normally, and uninjured. That was the first inconsistency. The woman reported as the victim, Josie, was on her porch being interviewed by another officer. She was visibly upset and emotional. I approached another officer speaking with a younger female, Nadine, and quickly learned she was the owner of the other dog. Nadine was approximately 17 years old and lived several houses down from Josie. She was calm at this point, no visible distress. She complained that Josie regularly allowed her small dog to roam freely along the sidewalk and into neighbors' yards. That information was not entirely relevant, but it was also, as I would later find out, a pre-justification. When someone immediately introduces a long-standing grievance, they are often laying groundwork for behavior they know is questionable. I then approached Josie. She was emotional but coherent. She claimed Nadine's dog had chased her inside her home and entered the residence. However, based on the physical layout, the door position, and her own later descriptions, it became apparent the dog had reached the doorway but not actually entered the home. There were no bites, no injuries, and no blood, fortunately. Josie's initial report exaggerated the severity of the incident. This was not necessarily malicious. It was, however, an emotional amplification, but nevertheless, it was also still deceptive. After hearing Josie's account, I walked to Nadine's residence to clarify the circumstances. Nadine was now with a friend, Brittany, also 17. They both stated that they had been sitting in a van when the incident occurred. This immediately stood out as odd. I asked why they were sitting outside in a van instead of inside the home. Brittany said that they were just visiting. I asked if the van belonged to her. She said it did not. They could not explain why they were in the van, whose van it was, why they weren't allowed inside, and the details of everything surrounding this part of the story never became relevant. It stood as an inconsistent part or an inconsistency in why they even mentioned it. When people add unnecessary details, it's often because they are trying to sound cooperative or they are covering for something unrelated. Either way, it signals discomfort. Josie later told me Nadine and Brittany used drugs and made several moral statements about their character. That information had no relevance to the dog call, and no drugs were actually found on them. Attacking credibility instead of facts is a common deflection tactic. At this point, Nadine's mother, Pamela, came outside. I asked what I believed was a straightforward question. How did the dog get off the leash? Every time I asked this, I received the same response. Our dogs are never off their leash. This answer did not address the question, but it was the same and consistent answer that it was provided by everyone at that particular residence. It was provided by Nadine, Pamela, and Brittany, who was with her, all making the same consistent statement again. Repeating a rule instead of answering a question is a form of avoidance. Eventually, I pointed out the obvious. The dog was off its leash. It was down the street. Officers observed it. So something had happened. I just wanted to know what so that it wouldn't happen again. Based on the previous grievance, the evasive answers, the emotional context, I asked a presumptive question. Did you let the dog off the leash intentionally because you were angry about Josie letting her dog roam your neighborhood? This was not an accusation, it was just a probe. The response was immediate. Nadine began yelling, crying. She dropped to her knees. She was cursing the police and claiming that police never help anyone. I did not respond to any of these accusations. She then stood up in an emotional outburst, slammed the door, and went inside as she went. That reaction was disproportionate and telling. As Nadine walked away, Brittany passed me in the opposite direction and said the police are worthless. This statement did nothing to explain the event. It existed only to shift blame and exit the conversation. Legally, no bites had occurred. No injuries occurred. Both dogs had been off their leash. Both parties violated leash laws. There was no criminal dog attack, only mutual violations. All parties were warned. Everyone on this call exhibited traits of deception. Josie exaggerated the attack. Nadine avoided responsibility. Brittany injected irrelevant details, and Pamela deflected with denial. The clearest sign of deception came from the youngest people involved. One of the realities of patrol work is that younger people lie just the same as adults do, but they are usually worse at hiding it. Their emotions leak. Their reactions escalate. Their defenses collapse faster. That doesn't make them bad people, it just makes the truth easier to see if you're paying attention. Episode 5,